Hello everyone, it's me, Matt. Hope you're having a great day. Two things. I'd like to apologize for the vibration that you're seeing in the camera right now. I'm attaching it to my mount within my vehicle, and of course the vibration is falling through it, so you're gonna have to deal with me going for a little while. Also, just to make you aware, I am driving as doing this video, but I'm maintaining concentration on the road, making sure that I get that disclaimer in there, because I know some people get really upset when I do these kind of vlogs and they think that I'm being unsafe or breaking the law. I'm focusing on the road, but now and then clicking over to you. So today's video, what we're talking about? Well, you know, I get a lot of questions on my channel, whether it be military related content or just things going on in my life. And one of the big things that I get asked about my military career, both in the past and now that I'm currently serving, is should I become an officer or should I become a non-commissioned member or NCO or non-commissioned officer? A lot of people going into their careers are very unsure as to what they want to be, and they ask me for some very weird reason for advice. And you know, I try my very best to give a unbiased and informed opinion slash statement on this, and I thought I'd put it into a video because it gets really hard replying to comments all the time, and a lot of people message me on my Discord or Facebook or wherever else, which by the way, if you want to go check out, go look in the description box below for all those kind of social media links, and it's just easier for me to just put it into a video. So first of all, we need to talk a little bit of background about me before I can start giving you my own take on this whole subject, because you need to understand my basis on this and my stance on this before I start telling you about, you know, how I am. So first of all, if you're not aware and you're new to my channel, welcome. If you don't know that I did have a previous British military career, now you know. I was in the Army for 8 years, served in the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, and I enjoyed every second of it. And to give you a little bit of background to that career in regards to being an officer, many times throughout my career, without blowing my own trumpet or trying to make myself, you know, better than I actually am, a lot of my superiors and my chain of command tried to push me towards getting my commission, which is what we call it in the British Army and the Canadian Armed Forces. I'm sure other countries around the world have similar kind of setups, but basically it means going from a non-commissioned member or a junior rank to becoming an officer, which is, you know, it's a big leap, it's a big jump, especially if you're, you know, not accustomed to the lifestyle of an officer or understand what the lifestyle or what's involved with being an officer. And for me, I knew those things, so I was already kind of on board and on page with it. And many of the time that I got asked, would you like to, or you should, we encourage you to, I denied it. I turned it down because I was at a point in my life when I was younger, for sure, where I wanted to learn my trade. I wanted to learn how to be a junior soldier first, learn how to be a part of the troops, so to speak. And that to me was very important. I couldn't grasp the thought of becoming an officer and not understanding the troops beneath me's role, or beneath me, the troops below in rank. I shouldn't say beneath, that's not a good word to use when talking about leadership. Below in rank, because if you don't understand the way in which the trade works or the way in which soldiers operate in a junior leadership or junior member status, you're not going to be, I feel, as good as an officer as you could be when you transfer over later on. Now that's just my opinion, that's not fact. I know many officers who never did any junior rank career and are absolutely outstanding. Some of them, which I would attest to this day, are some of the most finest soldiers and leaders I've ever met in my entire life. But for me personally, on my own basis, being a junior soldier gave me so much experience and background to allow me to make an informed decision for my future. And when I was young, I didn't have that. I wasn't ready to say, you know what, I probably could be an officer, but do I really want to be yet? Not quite. And also, let's just be honest about this. I'm going to be totally outright straight with you here. I enjoyed having fun. I enjoyed partying. I enjoyed, you know, enjoying my young life. And being an officer, there are some restrictions on that. Also, the culture of being an officer is very different. People that tend to apply to be officers can sometimes be either culturally or their mindset is different to others, and in the junior rank world. And in the British Army, that was very apparent. You know, there was a lot of people who I knew were officers. They were students, came from rather rich backgrounds. I'm not saying all officers are that way. And I didn't really come from that kind of setup. So it didn't really connect with me mentally and on a personal standpoint. So that's my British Army career. So as I said, I kind of put it off. Should I have gone for officer? In retrospect and in hindsight, probably. Probably would have been a good idea, but if I had have done that, it might have opened up a door that prevented me from moving to the beautiful country I am in today. Canada. And specifically today we're driving in Alberta, which by the way, the weather is absolutely beautiful. So yes, you know, it's probably a wiser decision for me at the time that I should have applied to be an officer, because it has so many opportunities for you to excel and progress your military career. But on a personal standpoint, I didn't see it. Personally, I was happy to be a junior soldier, learn my trade, leave the army and move to Canada. Now I'm in the now I'm in the Canadian Army. God, I can't even remember which army I'm in now. Now I'm in the Canadian Army, serving in the Royal Canadian Artillery, as you can see, as a bombardier, working on the C3 howitzers. Absolutely love my job. I love recently just becoming a junior leader in the armed forces, and I am a junior member, again, non-commissioned member, junior leader. And that to me is again something that I said to myself I wanted to do when I joined the Canadian Armed Forces. I wanted to learn my trade, and I still do, and I want to learn the junior ranks. It's a totally different world too, you know, literally a different part of the world, and a new military to be a part of. So I said to myself, let's get into where you were before. Get back to the stage at your British Army career that you were at, and reassess where you want to be. And now, I'm at that stage, very, very close anyway. I'm back at the kind of same level of training / rank that I was in the British Army, and almost anyway. And I'm at a point where I'm getting older. We're all getting older, but I'm realizing it very quickly right now. And this is something you need to consider. These are the points that will eventually get around to. I'm getting past my background and not tooting my own horn here. But these are the things you need to consider. Your age, what you want to do, what trade are you? All these kind of things you got to tie in together. So anyway, I promise I'm going to tie the knot here. So now I'm in the Canadian Army. Now I'm starting to realize, because I'm older, I'm reassessing what is prioritizing as important in my military career. Right now, I feel like, other than specific trade training, I've hit a level of leadership that I'm comfortable with to say that I want to step it up a notch. I want to get to the next level. I don't know what that is yet. And many of a time, people have said to me, Matt, you should commission. You should become an officer. You have the right attributes, the right skills, the right mindset, the right, you know, ethos of being an officer. And as much as I appreciate that opinion, it just puts me in a complete dilemma, because one side of me agrees with them, and the other side of me says, absolutely no way. I'm a junior soldier for life. I want to be with the troops. I want to stay in the mess. I want to be, you know, part of that, you know, firm, fair, and friendly world of soldiering. And I'm not saying officers aren't firm, fair, and friendly, but it's a little different the way in which leadership is done as an officer. So I'm in two different mindsets, and it changes in any given day. Okay, so that's me. That's where I'm at, and that's why I'm now going to speak to you guys and what you may want to do. Now, as I said, it really depends on what trade you're going into and what do you want to do. There's many people I know who have joined the military, joined the armed forces, and they've been coerced or pressured into doing something that they're just not quite comfortable with. It's not something that they're like, I shouldn't have done that. That is not the way to go with the military. I've said this once and I'll say it a million times. The Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, whatever you're going to join, Coast Guard, doesn't matter. Even the police or the fire department, they are a lifestyle. It is not a job. It is not just a career. It's a lifestyle. I don't have tattoos on my body. I don't have the waking up of every day sensing that I want to do more soldiering even though I've got another job, without knowing that you're part of a lifestyle, right? Now, a lifestyle is very specific to whatever trade part you're a part of. For instance, me as an artillery gunner, I am very relatable to being just on the guns for the most part in my career right now. Some of you out there will be infantry or armored, and you need to tailor your decision as to what you want to be in that trade group, in the rank structure you want to be a part of. What I mean by that is, if you're joining the infantry as your regiment or your unit, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know if me being a leader straight away is going to be the greatest idea. I want to get some experience. You're already kind of answering your own questions. Start off maybe thinking about where you want to be in terms of leadership, because if you're joining as an officer, you are instinctively, almost instantly setting yourself up for leadership. That is what officers do. They lead from a management level, mentor level, coaching level. That's what they do. When you join as a non-commissioned member or a junior rank or a private, whatever rank, at a low level, you are going to be led. You are going to be led from the bottom to the top, very slowly. It takes time. Sometimes you'll progress quicker. Officers still need to learn too, but they're expected, the ethos and the culture of an officer are expected to lead very quickly. You're going to be put into very fast-paced leadership, management, coaching roles as soon as you join your unit. And I can tell you that firsthand with my unit is junior second lieutenants or officer cadets are put straight into leadership responsibilities sometimes, because that's what they need to do. They're not going to shy away from it until you're ready. They're going to put you under pressure and make it happen. So if that's something that's deterring you and you're like, I don't want to go straight into leadership as an officer cadet, getting thrown into the deep end, that's something you need to consider. Something else, as I mentioned before, and that's why I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my background and my story first. If you're a hardcore party guy or girl and all you want to do is go out and get drunk and party with the guys and the girls and, you know, have fun and, you know, travel around the world and do all this crazy stuff, and, you know, I'm not saying that officers don't do that, but what I'm saying is that officers are set at a little bit different of a standard in the way in which they act and the way in which they present themselves. If you're at the bar every single night with your buddies getting rowdy drunk, and you're in the same town as your CO, and your CO comes in with their wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, whatever, and you're in there getting drunk every night, it's not a great image as a leader to be that individual. As a non-commissioned member, it's not either, but you're not really set to it's a difficult fine line to draw, but you're set to a little different of an expected standard. Being that rowdy drunk or being that, you know, rambunctious, you know, flamboyant troop isn't the best way to be an officer. And if that's something that you are naturally, and you shouldn't change yourself really unless you know you want to, think about that. That may not be something that will tailor you into the world of an officer very well. It's all subjective, right? Another thing, officers must detach from the troops to an extent. What I mean detach is, you're not going to be buddy-buddy with your friend who you go to college with or you go to university with like this in a work setting, right? You're not going to go up to them and say, hey Steve, how's it going, buddy? You might, but you, again, crossing that fine line of responsibility, leadership, and a role that you must fulfill. And unfortunately, it's the reality of being officer is you need to create that detached professionalism when you go into those kind of, you know, those roles, because there's many movies out there, right, that depict that, you know, like you're not supposed to be best friends with the troops, you know. A great example of that is Master and Commander. What a fantastic movie. Naval officers, of course, back in those days, 1800s, very strict disciplinary settings on a ship. You have to, because otherwise you're going to have mutiny and problems and all sorts of problems, okay? There's a specific example of one of the officers singing when the junior ranks are singing too. And it was a very awkward moment, and the captain noticed it, and the crew obviously noticed it, where the junior ranks didn't want the officer singing along with them. That's their thing. That's their only thing that they can say, it's us. We get to own that, right? And that still applies in the modern day military. And unfortunately, in the movie for Master and Commander, that officer started going into a spiral of anxiety and paranoia to the point he actually killed himself, which is a little extreme. That's definitely not where I'm going with this. But it's something you must consider. If you're a buddy-buddy with like 90% of your troops in the unit and you're all of a sudden considering about being a commissioned officer, you are going to have to learn quickly to do a natural detachment from being the old you. There's still going to be obviously that connection. You're still going to have friends. You're still going to be able to treat people with respect. You're not going to turn in some pit bull officer that thinks he owns the place, etc. But it's a reality you have to wake up to, because I know many people who haven't drawn that fine line. It becomes quite difficult. And as I said about that movie, for the two different rank structures, quite awkward. And to me, I get very uncomfortable when, you know, a soldier talks to an officer in a way as if they're best buddies sometimes, because where's the line drawn, right? I don't have a huge problem with it. There's a different level of respect and different level of comfortable feeling when you have, you know, conversations with officers and things like that. But there has to be a level of respect, and sometimes some people take that for advantage, and you know, it's a little concerning. So something else to consider. Also, okay, this is on the other end of the spectrum, because I'm not trying to deter you from becoming an officer. I'm actually encouraging it too. Officers must have some form of degree or education, depending on the military that you're joining. Myself, I do not have a degree. I will have to spend quite a bit of money and time, resources, and effort to get an educational degree that personally in my life right now will not benefit me from a professional standpoint for my civilian career, really at all. But it will for my military career. The reason for that is, of course, the Army wants to have some testament to say that you have, intellectual might, right? You have the ability to problem solve and all the more sort of technical sides of life and educational background. And to me, I'm not a massive fan of requiring a degree to become an officer. I guess it's kind of a key in the door. Personally, I would be just as good as an officer without a degree than I would be with one. But it's a mandate and requirement sometimes that you must have. I don't know if every military does. Here in Canada, you require to have a degree. You can work on it in the background and still be an officer, an officer cadet, or a second lieutenant, and still work on your degree part-time, or if you're a full-time officer, the same kind of deal with university and things. But that can also deter you. But on the other end of the spectrum, becoming an officer can get you a degree at a discounted rate, or potentially even free, which is fantastic. You'll be paying the Army back, but you will get your degree from the Army, and that can be, again, depending on which military you're a part of, a huge benefit to your after military career lifestyle. And remember, if you're joining just for a degree, to get a degree, you will have to pay the Army back. Do not be silly. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video, it's a lifestyle. Also, if you are going to become an officer, you have to discuss a little bit about pay. Okay, some people join the military for absolutely no interest in pay at all. That's me. I have never considered pay a thing. I haven't cared about it. When I was younger, I joined at 16. I think it was like $100 a week or something stupid. I was a junior soldier at 16. I couldn't care less. I literally got 3 square meals a day. I got accommodation, food, water, utilities. Everything was pretty much sorted for me. I was fine. For some people, though, that can be quite important, and that in today's climate with COVID and everything that's going on, that makes complete sense. So you must consider those options. You do have the ability, when you join as an officer, to obviously make more money. You're going to be given more responsibility. With responsibility comes reward, and that reward can be in the form of increased pay. Not huge pay, okay? Joining as a junior officer, you are not going to be making triple the amount of money that a new private will be, but it's something that you can calculate with your own military, your own trade, or whatever trade group you're a part of, or armed force that you're a part of. Look into it, research it, because it could be something that also either deters you or encourages you to join one or the other rank structures. Another thing that I find very important, and if anything, this is the most important part, and something that, hence why I left it to the end of this video, that I want you to focus on. Do you want to be an inspirational leader that is there at the top end of the leadership spectrum, that is doing everything in their power every single day to inspire your troops to work hard, themselves lead from the front, and potentially, because this is what we're talking about, we're in the military here, we're not talking about working at McDonald's or Walmart, to lead people into battle, into a fighting context. Some of you are probably watching this video who are joining the military or joining a part of the armed forces that are actively involved in combat operations somewhere in the world right now. And if you doubt for 1 second that you are not going to be operationally deployed within those operations as either a junior member or an officer, you're probably severely mistaken. Here in Canada, we don't have any technically operational combat deployments unless you are special forces, and even then it's a little hazy. And even then, you still need to consider that you are going to be leading people in dangerous environments, okay? We still have operational deployments in Latvia, in Iraq, and all sorts of places. There's still dangerous environments. There's still threat and hazard there. You are the person, junior rank or senior or officer, that will need to determine what you want to do in those scenarios. If you're about to take people into battle, do you want to be in the thick of it, at the front, looking after your troops' feet, making sure they're doing everything right, almost babysitting them sometimes, because that's what it's like as a junior soldier, as a junior leader. Sometimes you're babysitting your troops. Or do you want to be an officer who is more of a higher level management kind of setup, okay? Coordination, tactical planning, strategic planning, instead of the low level frontline engagements, pulling troops, leading from the front. Of course, officers still do lead from the front, depending on which rank structure out of the officers. But remember, the end state for when you're an officer is to lead a large body of men at the more higher tactical level than you would be at, say, section level, okay? As a platoon commander, I would definitely say, I've met many platoon commanders in my life, it's probably one of the most challenging jobs in the armed forces, especially in the army, okay? Because you're the middleman between high management, right, and your main team, right? The boys and girls that you are wanting to work hard for you to achieve your mission, right? When it comes to the thick of it, if you're going into a combat scenario, you have to have every ounce of faith in yourself first before anything else that that's what you want to do. If you want to be the guy in the front, charging through the mud, looking after your troops, keeping them super close, watching their admin, you know, getting into the thick of it, a non-commissioned member may be the way you want to go. If you want to be an officer, liaising between high-ranking officials, still commanding your troops from the front, but from a more administrative level, being an officer may be for you, okay? It's really important that you focus on that, because as I said, this video is poised to many people and many viewers of my channel, and I do not want to make an opinion that is based upon things like money and, you know, whether or not you're too posh or too sort of rambunctious in a bar. They're not important things. They're things to consider, but the most critical thing that I must get towards you, for those who want to either not or be an officer or an NCM or not be an NCM. Sorry, my camera decided it was going to just close down on me for some reason. So yes, you really have to hone in on that. And if you can, have a reflection moment. I know that sounds a little ridiculous. If you're currently serving and thinking about becoming an officer, you're already off to a great head start. Clearly, if the thoughts are in your head, something's there. Something is ticking in your brain to say, maybe I should think about going to the next level. If it hasn't really popped across your mind and you've just been asked that question before, or people keep recommending you to do it, you know, have some self-reflection time. Go for a walk. Take the dog for a walk and really consider whether or not it's something that appeals to you. If it doesn't appeal to you, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it still is for you. You're just not too aware of what's, you know, available to you in that kind of career. Speak to your chain of command. It's also really important. Speak to officers, speak to senior NCMs, okay, politely, right? Don't go marching up to your company sergeant major and be like, hey boss, what's going on? I really want to know what it's like being a company sergeant major, because you're probably going to get your head trampled in. Same for being an officer, right? Respectfully ask for a one-on-one, right? Some sort of informal interview, right? We can sit down and discuss your options, because that is going to be really, really beneficial to you, because you're going to get information from the subject matter experts, right? Junior officers are normally very, very good at being able to give you their background and their own experiences. And some of the senior officers will maybe point you in the direction of saying, this is where you could be, or this is the route I believe that you should go. Because sometimes, no matter how much you want to become an officer, sometimes you may not just have the attributes or the skills yet, or at all, that will align you up to be an officer. And it really comes down to your chain of command, you know, recommending you, or you being able to pass the certain scores or requirements in testing and things like that to become one. So don't get disheartened though if you can't become one, or you really, really wanted to be one, you didn't get the scores. You can still do a ton of leadership and almost that of an officer in the more senior non-commissioned officer ranks, or, you know, the senior management ranks of the junior soldiers. So, you know, like RSM, company sergeant major, chief warrant, master warrant, all that sort of stuff. So you can still do high levels of leadership, almost on the same level, if not higher sometimes, than officers, just at a junior level. So something to consider. Anyway, I've babbled on long enough. I hope that gives you a little bit of tidbit information for you to take away for if you are interested in becoming an officer, or if you're about to join the army or whatever military branch you are, and you're not too sure which route to go, left or right. Should I go junior rank or officer? Something to consider. Please though, reflect upon what you really want to lead like. That is going to be a huge segue into really what you're going to do. Anyway, don't take my word for it. Please look upon yourself, have a chat with yourself. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd really appreciate you stopping by on today's video. I'm sorry it's a little long-winded and bouncy and that my freaking camera decided to cut out on me, but it is what it is. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave me a like. I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below. And if you're new to the channel, click the little bell by the subscribe button. Thank you to everyone who is a member of my channel. Clicked on that little join button. I appreciate each and every one of you. I promise you I will get these perks added to the channel quickly. I just haven't got around to researching who is in my membership right now of the channel. But thank you for your monthly subscriptions to my channel. It really does help. For those of you who are also on my Patreon, thank you also for supporting me. It really does help a lot for my channel. being able to be financially supported that way. So thank you so much. And if you want to check out my social media and everything, check in the description box below. You can go find out all the different descriptions and links of things that I have that you can come check out. Hope you have a wonderful day. All the best. Bye-bye.